Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Nara Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jam Mudiraye नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome. So today we'll be starting with a very new chapter where Vidura is going to approach Maitri Muni. In fact, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he mentions this chapter as departure of Uddhava. Departure of Uddhava means he's going at some other place where the Supreme Lord asked him to go. And then Vidura will approach Maitri Muni. So let's dive into the chapter. Give me just 1 minute. I'll just... yeah, you're correct. Yeah. So Prabhupada's purports are really very wonderful. These are his personal ecstasies. So Vidura approaches Maitri Muni. So he says that. So Uddhava is saying that. Uddhava vacha athate tad anugnata bhuktva pitva cha varunim taya viprashat shitagnana duru te marma duru pasaprushaha. So Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu, please do the honors of reading.
Translation. Thereafter, all of them, the descendants of Vrishni and Bhuja, being permitted by the Brahmanas, partook of the remnants of prasada and also drank liquor made of rice. By drinking, they all became delirious and bereft of knowledge. They touched the cores of each other's hearts with harsh words. Purport. In ceremonies, when Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are sumptuously fed, the host partakes of the remnants of foodstuffs after the guest has given permission. So the descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja formally took permission from the Brahmanas and ate the prepared foodstuff. Kshatriyas are permitted to drink at certain occasions, so they all drank a kind of light liquor made of rice. By such drinking, they become delirious and bereft of sense so much so that they forgot their relationship with one another and used harsh words which touched the cores of each other's hearts. Drinking is so harmful that even such a highly cultured family becomes affected by intoxication and can forget themselves in a drunken state. The descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja were not expected to forget themselves in this way, but by the will of the Supreme it happened, and thus they became harsh towards one another. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru. Thank you so much. So then he also says that Tesham mairena doshena vishami krita chetasam nimalochati rarava asid venu nam iva mardanam. Nakul Prabhu, please read the translation and purport both.
Hare Krishna. As by the friction of bamboos, destruction takes place, so also at sunset, by the interaction of the faults of intoxication, all their minds become unbalanced and destruction took place. When there is a need, purport, When there is a need of fire in the forest by the will of Supreme due to division among the bamboos. Similarly, the descendants of Yadu were all destroyed by the will of the Lord by the process of self-destruction. Just as there is no possibility of a fire occurring deep in the forest due to human effort, so also there was no power in the universe which could vanquish the descendants of Yadu, who were protected by the Lord. The Lord wanted them to be so destroyed, and thus they obeyed his order as indicated by the word Tad Anudnyata.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So due to intoxication, their minds became unbalanced and they destroyed each other. Like, you know, how the analogy of the bamboos is given over here. So when there is a friction, they create fire, and thus the whole forest is set on fire. So then somebody might ask a question that how could the eternal associates of the Lord be vanquished in the Supreme Lord's presence itself only? So the answer is given in the next shloka. He says over there that Bhagavan swatma mayaya gatim tam avalokaya saha saraswatim upasprushya vriksha moolam upavisat. So he says over there, Priyanka, please read the translation and purport both.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Translation: The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, after foreseeing the end of his family by his internal potency, went to the bank of the river Saraswati, sipped water, and sat down underneath a tree. Purport: All the above mentioned activities of the Yadus and Bhojas were executed by the internal potency of the Lord, because he wanted them to be dispatched to their respective abodes after he had finished his mission of descent. They were all his sons and grandsons and were given complete protection by the maternal affection of the Lord. How they could be vanquished in the presence of the Lord is answered in this verse. Everything was done by the Lord himself. Swatma Mayayaha. The Lord's family members were either incarnations of his plenary expansions or demigods from the heavenly planets, and thus, before his departure, he separated them by his internal potency. Before being dispatched to their respective abodes, they were sent to the holy place of Prabhas, where they performed pious activities and took food and drink to their heart's content. It was then arranged for them to be sent back to their abodes so that others could see that the powerful Yadu dynasty was no longer in the world. In the previous verse, the word Anujñata, indicating that the whole sequence of events was arranged by the Lord, is significant. These particular pastimes of the Lord are not a manifestation of his external energy or material nature. Such an exhibition of his internal potency is eternal, and therefore one should not conclude that the Yadus and Bhojas died in a drunken state in an ordinary fratrical war. Sri Jiva Goswami comments on these incidents as magical performances. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, seeing the action of his Maya, Krishna sipping the water of the Saraswati river, he sat down under a tree. And then, so how could the Lord, compassion to the elevated and fallen souls, witness this killing of his own servants, his grandsons, his sons, and those who are most dear to him, like even Pradyumna was very dear. And how did he arrange, by himself? So this, Prabhupada says that this was the action of Maya, Gatim, that is why he's using this word. And it was a convincing display by which, common man or common people would think that the Yadavas were destroyed quickly by killing each other. And this Maya belonged to the Lord. And that is why he said that Swa Atma Mayaya. That is saying Swa Atma Maya. And that Maya therefore could never bewilder him. And since the nature of Maya is that it does not bewilder its own controller. So Krishna is controlling Maya. Then how can Maya bewilder Krishna? So therefore it is said that the Lord saw this action of Maya, and the Yadavas, such as Pradyumna, the eternal associates in his pastimes, they remained in Dwarka. So the Devtas who had entered into various Yadavas, separating themselves from those Yadavas, they came to Prabhasa in those separate forms, and then what did they do? They ate, they drank, and they drank wine, and then with the Lord's permission, they actually returned to the heavenly planets, the Svargloka, and that is why they took permission from Krishna to return to their own heavenly planet, the Svargaloka. So now see, Balaram, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, these three are actually a part of the Chaturvyu, the quadruple that we say that comes from Balaram, and they are eternally with the Lord. And so these Yadavas, they are actually Krishna's people, and they are eternally dear to Krishna. They are equal in quality also to Krishna, and that is why they appear on the earth by their own will, from their actually spiritual planet. Like even just like in Ramayana, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shankarshan. Okay, they also appeared. So for helping the Devatas, they have appeared as humans on the earth. So because the Yadavas are eternal associates of the Lord, they will never be destroyed. And even the the posts of the Devatas, such as Kartikeya, who had entered into Samba, and others should not be destroyed. So the whole pastime is actually an illusionary. Though it is illusionary, since it is included in the pastimes of Krishna, actually, it is accepted by the inconceivable Yogamaya. And because Yogamaya is eternal, it is ever existing, and even in the absence of the material creation, and that is why the Devatas, they entered into various Yadavas, and that is why the Lord's eternal associates, they separated also from those Yadavas, and that is why they came to Prabhasa. And this whole thing, this whole play, you can say, such a convincing play for people like us to understand that the Yadavas were destroyed by killing each other. Anybody will understand that the Yadavas were destroyed by killing each other, but we know that this was completely orchestrated by the Supreme Lord. So ahead he says that Aham chokto bhagavata prapannatir harena chaha badritvam prayahiti swakulam sanjihirshana. So ahead he says, Anuprabhu, please read the translation and purport both.
Translation. The Lord is the vanquisher of the distresses of one who is surrendered unto him. Thus he who desired to destroy his family told me previously to go to Badarik Ashram. Purport. While at Dwarika, Uddhava was warned to avoid the distresses which were to follow the disappearance of the Lord and the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. He was advised to proceed to Badarik Ashram because there he could associate with the devoted Nar Narayan, and in their association of devotional service, he could increase his eagerness for chanting, hearing, knowledge, and detachment.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So the Lord who dispels the Lord who dispels the sorrow in his devotees, and he withdrew his family from this vision of this world. And that is why now Uddhava is telling that the Lord then asked me that you go to Badrika ashram. Okay, so that is a Uddhava is telling, he advised to proceed to Badrika ashram because there he could associate with the devotees of Nar Narayan. So this is what. So the Lord, what Uddhava is saying is that the Lord spoke to him previously at Dwarka. He also remained there in another form, in an, you can say, unmanifest form, a prakat form. And that is why Uddhava was sent to Saraswati river, where Krishna again spoke to him there also. So, the first, so, why did, Krishna speak to him at, these 2-3 places is that, that the first reason is that the, first reason is that, the Lord wanted to remove actually the suffering of separation of Uddhava, because Uddhava was very surrendered to the Lord. And the second reason is that the Lord would relieve the pain in the form of his longing to hear about bhakti, jnana, vairagya, and the pastimes of those people who are living in Badrika ashram. And those devotees also very, very surrendered to the Lord. So, so who are those? The Lord's portion as Nar Narayana. Okay, and by what he would speak to Uddhava was expressed at that. So he's saying that even in the Bhagavad-gītā also it will come somewhere in the 11th canto, that he's saying that now what I will be doing is that I'll be leaving the vision of this world, and I see, you Uddhava, you're the foremost of my devotees. Uddhava was very dear to Krishna. They say that Uddhava's features were almost as equal as Krishna. And that is why when Uddhava went to meet the gopis were illusioned to think that, Uddhava was coming from so far. They were thinking that this Krishna is only coming. So that is why saying that Uddhava is the foremost of Krishna's devotees. And it is he only who can be directly entrusted with this knowledge about Krishna. And that's where, it will come in the, in this only chapter, that why did Krishna entrust this knowledge about him to only Uddhava? Why did Krishna teach Uddhava about himself? What is Uddhava's qualification that Krishna is teaching about himself to his dear devotee Uddhava? So let's see the next shloka, because if you see where when Krishna spoke to Arjuna, Arjuna I'm saying, when Krishna spoke to Uddhava, so both the reasons that we gave, both the reasons are reflecting his quality of being, prananarthi harena. So there, firstly, he wanted to remove Uddhava's suffering, and then secondly, he wanted that Uddhava should go and take some, the relief of his pain to Badrika ashram. But when Krishna, he descends on this earth planet to remove the burden of the earth, and of course, and his mission has been fulfilled. So then, the demigods, they came to Dwarka to inform the Lord that the time of his disappearance has arrived. So Brahma, of course, the demigods is always headed by Brahma. So Brahma, he had also come with them. So realizing that, that Krishna will be actually departing from this world. And of course, for Uddhava, Krishna was his beloved Lord. So Uddhava is actually approaching Krishna and he requested that he also wanted to go with Krishna to the spiritual world. But then Krishna spoke to Uddhava a very deep philosophy of the Bhagavatam, and that is there in the 11th canto of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and that is called Uddhava-gītā. And he, after speaking to Uddhava, the whole Uddhava-gītā, then Krishna instructed Uddhava to go to Badrika ashram. So then, now ahead he says that Tathapi tadbhipretam jnanam arindama prushto anvagam bhartu pada vishleshanakshamah. Yet in spite of my knowing his desire to destroy the dynasty of Arindama Vidura, I followed him because it was impossible for me to bear separation from the lotus feet of the master. So, Uddhava followed him to Dwarka and to Prabhasa also. Then ahead he says that Adraksham ekam asina vichinvandayitam patim Sriniketam Sarasvatya Krutaketam. So before that there is some give me 1 minute. Yeah. Arindama is Vidura's another name for Arindam. So then he says that yeah, somebody read this. Rupa Mataji, you only read this translation and purport both.
Hare Krishna. Thus following, I saw my patron and master Lord Sri Krishna sitting alone and deep thinking, taking shelter on the bank of the river Saraswati, although he is the shelter of the goddess of fortune. Purport. Those who are in the renounced order of life often take shelter underneath a tree. The Lord was found by Uddhava in that condition of taking shelter, as do persons who have no shelter, because he is the proprietor of everything. Everywhere is his shelter, and everywhere is under his shelter. The entire material and spiritual cosmic manifestation is sustained by him, and therefore he is the shelter of everything. So there was nothing astonishing in his taking shelter in the way of the unsheltered who are in the renounced order of life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So ahead he says that okay, so in this 6th shloka, was it the 6th shloka we read or the 5th shloka? Okay, 6th shloka we read. Okay. So he says that he was deeply thinking, he was searching for the Lord and he was deeply thinking alone. And then he took shelter on the bank of the Saraswati. Although, he is the shelter of Lakshmi, but he took the shelter of the Saraswati. So then what happened over there is that Shyamavadanta Virajam Prashantarunalocanam Dorbhi Chaturbhir Viditam Pita Kaushambarena Cha. Yeah, somebody read this translation. Nakul
The
Prabhu?
Lord,
Yeah, read it. Nakul Prabhu, read the translation.
The Lord's body is blackish, but is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and very, very beautiful. His eyes are always peaceful, and there are reddish light, the rising morning sun. I could immediately recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his four hands, different symbolic representations, and yellow silk garments.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So over here, he's saying that this is actually Krishna's description, that Krishna had a glowing dark complexion, Shama Vadatam, and he was Virajam, full of bliss and knowledge. He had Prashanta Aruna. Arun means actually Arun means reddish color, and Prashant means, peaceful. And he says Lochanam means he had Prashant Aruna Lochanam. He had peaceful reddish eyes, and that is why he could recognize Pita Koshambarena, his yellow garments. So that's what he was saying over here. And then he says that ahead he says that Vama Uravadhi Shritaya Dakshinangri Suroruham Apashrita Bharkakshatha Makrusha Tyakta Pipalam. Yeah, so where was the Lord sitting? Brinda, please read the translation and purport both.
Translation. The Lord was sitting taking rest against a young banyan tree, with his right lotus foot on his left thigh, and although he had left all household comforts, he looked quite cheerful in that posture. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, the Lord sitting posture, keeping his back against the newly grown banyan tree, is also meaningful. Ashwatha, the banyan tree, is also called because the tree does not die very quickly. It continues to live for many, many years. His legs and their energies are the material ingredients, which are five in all: earth, water, fire, air, and sky. The material energies represented by the banyan tree are all products of his external potency and are therefore kept to his back. And because this particular universe is the smallest of all, the banyan tree is therefore designated as small or as a child. Tyakta Pipalam indicates that he had now finished his pastimes in this particular small universe, but since the Lord is absolute and eternally blissful, there is no difference between his leaving or accepting something. The Lord was now prepared to leave this particular universe and go into another, just as the sun rises on one particular planet and sets in another simultaneously. But does not change its own situation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So his right foot was placed on his left thigh, and he was leaning against a very, against a banyan tree, and giving up his pastimes in this world. He was still blissful. Sometimes when you give up something, you become sad. But because he exhibits the opulence of renunciation or detachment, so even in that state also, Krishna is blissful. And this Ashwatha, what does not last till tomorrow. So this is referring to the material world, which where he's saying that it is made up of earth, water, air, fire, ether, which is temporary. And Maya is actually standing behind the Lord. So when many materialistic people do not see Krishna, so this is actually the intention of Krishna's action of leaning against that banyan tree. And then the tree is described as, young, to depict or to indicate that among all the universes, this universe is very small. And the Lord has given up his pastimes over here in this world. And since this Pipilam, so now he has finished his pastimes in this small universe, and that is why he's going to leave this universe and enter into another universe. Because see, there are where there are millions and millions of universes coming out from the pores of the Supreme Lord. Now, in those universes also, Krishna has to Krishna goes and performs this pastimes. Like for example, in one universe, Krishna might be and these are all Nitya Leelas. Nitya means permanent Leelas. So in one universe, Krishna might be performing the pastime of stealing the butter, and in another universe, Krishna might be killing Aghasur, or in another universe he might be killing Kamsa, or in another universe he might be actually having the Kurukshetra war, or in another universe he might be born as Lord Ram. So these are all his eternal pastimes that happen, and in every millennium the Lord comes. And still he is very blissful when he has to leave this one universe and move to another universe. That way. So let's go to the next shloka. And he's saying that Tasmin Mahabhagavato Dvaipayana Suritsaka Lokan Anucharan Siddha Asasad Yadrichaya. So then he says further. Yeah, Nakul Prabhu, you want to read? You can read.
No, Mataji, I have one question.
Yes, ask me.
You told that all are Nitya Leelas, like it happens in all universes. Like, is it in all universe or all planets?
No, please repeat your question. I didn't understand.
You said that Krishna's activities are Nitya Leela.
Yeah.
You told Kamsa, Tilling, and some other activities you explained, right? So this happens in all universe or all planets?
No, universes. This is happening in all. See, planet means, for example, one universe will have many planets. Every universe has 14 planetary systems. And that 14 planetary system comprises of one universe. Now, like that, there are many, many universes which are coming out from the pores of Mahavishnu. When the Lord breathes out, then so many millions of universes, are, formed. And when he breathes in, all these universes go back into his body. So, millions of such universes are there. So, universe means every universe will have one earth planet, will have some heavenly planets, will have Janalok, Tapalok, Maharlok, hellish planets, like that. So, like that, there are many universes. And in those universes, Krishna performs his pastimes that way.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Should I show you with the help of a diagram, in the sense you will understand more better? Okay, now you see this diagram over here. I'll just make it a little bigger. Why is this come up? Okay. Just a sec. Maybe I should take some other diagram. Okay, you're seeing that how the Supreme Lord over here, there are so many cosmic universes coming out from his pores. Mahavishnu is breathing countless universes over here. So many universes are there. So this is how, and now if you see in this particular one universe, okay, this one universe that is there, in that then you'll have 14 planetary systems. So millions of universes and millions of 14 planetary systems. Every every universe will have its own planetary system. Prabhu, you understood, or should I explain you little
Yeah,
more?
I understood.
Yeah. So
So
that,
every universe will have is Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, like that.
yes. Every universe will have its own Brahma, Vishnu, and all. And even if you see, there is one more actually cosmology diagram where I really like that very much, because I had understood this thing in that way, means with that diagram only. Give me 1 minute, okay? If I get that right away, I think, was it this? This. I think it was this, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I'll just try. So now you see over here, when you see over here, okay. So now you have all these 7 planetary systems below. These are all hellish planets. And then upper planetary systems, you have all these, Swargalok, Janalok, Tapalok, Maharlok, and all, it's going up like to Brahmalok also. Now this whole thing, this one, you can say egg-like thing, this is actually one universe. And like that, there are many universes. So this is what is being said over here. Okay, Prabhu. Okay, we'll go back to our shloka. Yeah. So then he says that, where were we? 9th shloka, no? We have to. Okay, yeah.
There is one more portion, I think. It is in chat related to same thing.
Yeah, Pranga. Mataji, as you said that the Nitya Leelas are taking place, would the reactions of the devotees also stay the same, like that of the gopis, Prahlad Maharaj, etc.? Can you please clarify your question, Priyanka, so that I can help you out?
Yes, Mataji, like the Leelas are taking place in different universes, right? So, based on those, the reactions of the other devotees, would that also be the same, like how the gopis were going through the process of separation and the feelings they have felt, and all those devotees' reactions which had taken
Yes.
place? Would
They
that
will
also
be the
be?
same. Yes. See, gopis will always be in separation of Krishna. That is their Vipralamba Bhav. Vipralamba Bhav means love in separation. That is there. That will always be there in all universes. That will be there. Because that is only the relishing part of their relationship. Like, for example, even you see, that if, for example, if two people are there all the time, sticking around to each other in one only house, they will get bored. There will be no rasa in that relation. So when there is union and then when there is separation, that relation is relished more. Like, for example, a mother's child, he goes to USA, or he's gone to some boarding school to study. And then the mother sees, okay, my child's shoes and my child's, shirt or my child's frock or something. So that immediately brings out that Vatsalya Bhav in the mother, the motherly affection or the feelings for that child, it immediately brings out. So that separation for the mother is more of a relishing, thing, that of course from material perspectives, somebody might say that you are a sadist people. But the mother, the moment when the child comes and, the child is back in the house, that union with the child is, unexpressible. That what she will feel, only she can tell, otherwise nobody else can tell. So in that relation, there is union and there is separation. Like for example, a boarding school child, he goes to the boarding school after 2 months of vacation. Then the mother is waiting. When will those 2 months come back again? So for those 7-8 months, she's waiting that when will those summer vacations come again. And the same way, even with the lovers also, they're also waiting that when will I meet my lover and when will I, be with him. And then again, Krishna, goes to meet Chandravali. Then again, comes to meet Radharani. Then when he comes to meet Radharani, Chandravali's team are in separation. Chandravali is also in separation. That way. So spiritual world means there will be union, there will be separation. And in that union, separation only, they relish that relationship that way. So Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu is saying that, but Mataji's separation from Lord Krishna is very painful to the gopis. Even we feel sad for gopis. Yes, we also feel sad for the gopis. And Prabhuji, for them, because, for them, Krishna is the only person they know. They don't know anybody else. And that is why they are always in separation. For us, we are in separation of Krishna, but we don't realize only that we are in separation of Krishna, and we get attached to so many other things in this material world. So yes, I agree with you that it's very painful to see the gopis in separation. Yeah. Yeah, Nakul Prabhu. Read translation and purport both.
Hare Krishna. At that time, after traveling in many parts of the world, Maitreya, a great devotee of the Lord and a friend and well-wisher of the great sage Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, reached the spot out of his own perfect accord. Purport. Maitreya was one of the disciples of Maharshi Parashara, the father of Vyasadeva. Thus, Vyasadeva and Maitreya were friends and mutual well-wishers. By some fortunate accident, Maitreya reached the place where Lord Krishna was resting. To meet the Lord is not an ordinary incident. Maitreya was a great sage and a learned scholar, philosopher, but not a pure devotee of the Lord. And therefore, his meeting with the Lord at that time may have been due to Ajnata Sukruti, or some unknown devotional service. Pure devotees always engage in pure devotional activities, and therefore their meeting with the Lord is natural. But when those who are not up to the standard meet the Lord, it is due to the unforeseen fortune of accidental devotional service.
Yes, Agyata Sukruti. And that is why if you see that if somebody is performing any facet of devotional service, he is getting Agyata Sukruti. Without knowing, he is getting that Sukruti to meet the Supreme Lord or to get bhakti. And that is why Prabhupada, such a perfect program he has built for us, where just watering tulsi plant also you are building your Sukruti, bowing down to the Lord. These are all bhakti unmukhi Sukrutis. That doing Ekadashi Vrat also, or circumambulating the temple also, offering a flower to the temple, offering a lamb to the temple, to the Supreme Lord. These are all Sukrutis that we build up. And these Sukrutis only, somehow if the Supreme Lord is merciful, we can just, get his mercy in any form. And many times, don't we also think that, what is my fortune that I am in this Krishna conscious movement? Again, what is my fortune that I am, seeing Prabhupada daily in the temple? What is my fortune that So many sannyasis are coming down to this particular temple, and we get a chance to serve those sannyasis. What is my fortune that I am taking daily darshan of the Supreme Lord? Many times it is very bewildering for us. But these devotees only are building our Sukruti, Agya Sukruti on a daily basis. And then when that Sukruti becomes 100%, our faith starts from there. Where, the pot of Sukruti becomes 100%, then the firm faith starts from there itself only. And he becomes more serious in Krishna conscious as such. So, Maitri Muni was a Jnana Mishra Bhakta, scholar, philosopher, but not a pure devotee. He was a Mishrit Bhakta. And therefore, his meeting with the Lord at any time maybe have been due to Agyata Sukruti. Some Sukruti he had, and he met the Supreme Lord. So, this is what is being said over here. And let's see what ahead it says. Yeah. Tasya अनुरक्तस्य मुनेर्मुकुन्दं प्रमोद भावानता कंदरस्य आशृण्वतो मामनु रागहास समीक्षया विषम यन्नुवाचः. So ahead he says that Lakshmi Narayan Bro, please read the translation and purport both.
Yes, Mother. Translation. Maitreya Muni was greatly attached to him, the Lord, and he was listening in a pleasing attitude, with his shoulder lowered, with a smile and a particular glance upon me, having allowed me to rest. The Lord spoke as follows. Purport. Although both Uddhava and Maitreya were great souls, the Lord's attention was more on Uddhava because he was a spotlessly pure devotee. A Jnana Bhakta, or one whose devotion is mixed with the monastic viewpoint, is not a pure devotee. Although Maitreya was a devotee, his devotion was mixed. The Lord reciprocates with his devotees on the basis of transcendental love and not on the basis of philosophical knowledge or fruitive activities. In the transcendental loving service of the Lord, there is no place for monastic knowledge or fruitive activities. The gopis in Vrindavana were neither highly learned scholars nor mystic yogis. They had spontaneous love for the Lord, and thus he became their heart and soul, and the gopis also became the heart and soul of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya approved the relationship of the gopis with the Lord as supreme. Herein, the Lord's attitude towards Uddhava was more intimate than with Maitreya Muni. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So, though Maitreya Muni is described by Uddhava with many, many pleasing words, but if you see, Krishna actually spoke to Uddhava. Since Krishna had more love for Uddhava than Maitreya Muni. And that is why there is a less respect to him than Uddhava. And Krishna is glancing, showing his affection to Uddhava. Or you can say Krishna glanced with a smiling and affectionate face, the smiling and affectionately towards Uddhava. So that is what Prabhupada is saying, that though Uddhava and Maitreya were great souls, but Krishna was more intimate towards Uddhava. And because Maitreya Muni was a Jnani Bhakta, and his devotion is mixed with knowledge, that way. So let's go to the next. Yeah. Now the Supreme Lord starts speaking to Uddhava, because of course he had more love towards Uddhava, so he speaks to Uddhava. So he says that Vedaham antar manasi spitam te dadhami yattad durvapanam anyeha satre pura vishwar surjar vasuna matsiddhi kamena vasotya tvayeshtaha. So Krishna says that. Anuprabhu, please read his translation and purport.
Translation. O Vasu, I know from within your mind what you desired in the days of yore, when the Vasus and the other demigods responsible for expanding the universal affairs performed sacrifices. You particularly desire to achieve my association. This is very difficult for others to obtain, but I award it unto you. Purport. Uddhava is one of the eternal associates of the Lord, and a plenary portion of Uddhava was one of the 8 Vasus in the days of yore. The 8 Vasus and the demigods in the upper planetary system, who are responsible for the management of the universal affairs, performed a sacrifice in the days of yore, desiring to fulfill their respective ultimate goals in life. At that time, an expansion of Uddhava, acting as one of the Vasus, desired to become an associate of the Lord. The Lord knew this because he is present in the heart of every living entity as Paramatma, the superconsciousness. In everyone's heart there is the representation of the superconsciousness, who gives memory to the partial consciousness of every living entity. The living entity as partial consciousness forgets incidents of his past life, but the superconsciousness reminds him how to act in terms of his past cultivation of knowledge. Bhagavad-gītā confirms this fact in various ways. Yata mam prapatyante tam tatheva bhajamyaham. Bhagavad-gītā 4.11. Sarvasya shaham hridisanivisto mataha smriti jnanam apohanam cha. Bhagavad-gītā 15.15. Everyone is at liberty to desire as he likes, but the desire is fulfilled by the Supreme Lord. Everyone is independent to think or desire, but the fulfillment of one's desire depends on the Supreme Will. This law is expressed as man proposes, God disposes. In the days of yore, when the demigods and the Vasus performed sacrifice, Uddhava as one of the Vasus desired to enter into the association of the Lord, which is very difficult for those busy in empiric philosophical speculation of fruitive activities. Such persons have practically no information of the facts about becoming an associate of the Lord. Only the pure devotees can know by the mercy of the Lord that the personal association of the Lord is the highest perfection of life. The Lord assured Uddhava that he would fulfill his desire. It appears that when the Lord informed him by his indication to Uddhava, the great sage Maitreya finally became aware of the importance of entering into the association of the Lord.
Yeah. So actually, Prabhupada is speaking about 2 Uddhavas over here. One is the Nitya Siddha Uddhava and the other is the Sadhana Siddha Uddhava. So, Uddhava, who is the Nitya Siddha, associate of the Lord, and there is another plenary portion of Uddhava also, was one of the 8 Vasus, that is the Sadhana Siddha. And this Sadhana Siddha entered the Nitya Siddha Uddhava. So here Uddhava is revealed as Sadhana Siddha to protect the confidentiality of this particular pastime. And also the Lord is telling Maitreya Muni, it's an indication that what is the importance of the association of the Supreme Lord. So when he says over here that Vedaham, he says that Veda means from Vedami, I know. Okay, Vedaham. Okay, I know. So he's saying, okay, I'll give you what is difficult for others to attain. Because then, you were previously that Vasu, one of the 8 Vasus you were. And at that sacrifice in which Brahma and Vasus participate. So you worshipped me by your desire. And you worshipped me because he wanted to attain me. So this Vasu entered into that Nitya Leela, Nitya Siddha Vasu, Nitya Siddha Uddhava. And then even though Uddhava is a Nitya Siddha, here he is revealed as actually Sadhana Siddha along with Maitra Muni. So to protect actually the secret of the eternal pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So some say that the eternal Uddhava stayed in Dwarka, and the others say that the Uddhava who was Vasu came to the Saraswati river. So there are a little two sides also. So I do not have much information about who the real Uddhava was talking to Krishna. But there was Uddhava who was talking to Krishna. So ahead he says that Sa Esha, this is the, yeah, this is the 12th one, okay. Sa Esha Sadho Charamo Bhavana Masaditaste Madanu Grahoyat Yanmanru Lokandraha Usrujanta Drishtaya Dadrishwan Vid Vishadanu Vrittaya. Priyanka, read this translation and purport both.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Translation. O honest one, your present life is the last and the supermost, because in this term of life you have been awarded my ultimate favor. Now you can go to my transcendental abode Vaikuntha by leaving this universe of conditioned living entities. Your visit to me in this lonely place because of your pure and unflinching devotional service is a great boon for you. Purport. When a person is fully conversant with knowledge, of the Lord, as far as can be known by a perfect living entity in the liberated state, he is allowed to enter into the spiritual sky where the Vaikuntha planets exist. The Lord was sitting in a lonely place, just about to disappear from the vision of the inhabitants of this universe, and Uddhava was fortunate to see him even at that time, and thus received the Lord's permission to enter Vaikuntha. The Lord is everywhere at all times, and his appearance and disappearance are merely the experience of the inhabitants of a particular universe. He is just like the sun. The sun does not appear or disappear in the sky. It is only in the experience of men that in the morning the sun rises and in the evening the sun sets. The Lord is simultaneously both in Vaikuntha and everywhere within and without Vaikuntha. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Antar Bahir Avastitam. Today only in the afternoon when we were reading the Hindi Bhagavatam. So we were reading actually Kunti Maharani's prayer in the Bhagavatam there, Canto 1. So Kunti Maharani says Antar Bahir Avastitam. So Krishna is everywhere. He is within also and he is without also. He is outside also and inside also. So now Uddhava is actually, Uddhava is pacifying. He's pacifying Uddhava because who's pacifying Uddhava? Krishna is pacifying Uddhava because among so many births, this birth in which Uddhava has attained Krishna's mercy is actually last, and he's saying that Uddhava, you have seen me in this lonely place with pure devotion. And that is why this is your good fortune. It has produced good fortune for you. So the Lord is about to just give up the places of all jivas, and he is actually, leaving for his eternal abode, and that's what he's telling Uddhava. And ahead he says that. So this is the last shloka of this particular section where Krishna is speaking. Puramaya proktam jaya nabhye padme nishnaya mamadi sarge jnanam param mahimam mahimam mam vabhasaha yayut suryo bhagavata vandati. Sorry, vadanti. So here he says that. Vrinda, please read this translation and purport both.
Translation: O Uddhava, in the lotus millennium in the days of yore, at the beginning of the creation, I spoke unto Brahma, who was situated on the lotus that grows out of my navel, about my transcendental glories, which the great sages describe as Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Purport: the explanation of the Supreme Self was given to Brahma and already explained in the second canto of this great literature is further clarified herein. The Lord said that the concise form of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, as explained to Brahma, was meant to elucidate his personality. The impersonal explanation of those 4 verses in the second canto is nullified herewith. Sridhara Swami also explains in this connection that the same concise form of Bhagavatam concerned the pastimes of the God, Krishna, and was never meant for impersonal indulgence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here the Lord describes that what he is promised to give Uddhava. Adi Sarge means the first day of Brahma's life. He spoke that knowledge which revealed, his pastimes. And this meaning of Mahima is actually, according to Srila Sridhar Swami, what Prabhupada is saying is that, and others say Mahima means actually glories. And the Bhagavatam refers to the 4 essential verses, the Chatushloki that we saw in Canto 2. Right? We saw those 4 shlokas as such. So now after the Lord spoke to Uddhava, then Uddhava becomes very overwhelmed and he glorifies Krishna and then he's praying to the Lord. So there are a couple of prayers which he is praying to Krishna that we'll be seeing tomorrow. So dear devotees, if anybody has any questions, you can ask me. So if nobody has any questions, we'll just wind up for the day. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.